What's going on, everybody? I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, the Black Business School, and we love having good conversations that involve intelligent Black people. And I think you're going to enjoy the conversation that we're going to have today. The conversation involves relationships. This is something that that I think is really important because if you do business or if you live life or if you do anything, if you wake up in the morning, relationships do matter. And so we're going to talk about the things that men despise when looking for a relationship with women. And so just so you guys know, life or if you do anything, if you wake up in the morning, relationships do matter. And there we go. I got to turn that off. And so to talk about this, I brought in my very good friend, respected colleague, Miss Nomalanga Moses. How you doing today, Noma?
I'm doing great, boys. How are you?
I'm doing really well, really well. This is an interesting topic. I think talking about relationships and what men want. I think it's funny that that's really not a common topic. Actually, I think that most topics it seems come down to like what women want, at least in the United States. There's not a lot of discussion about what men are thinking. And you and I were kind of talking about this kind of off the grid. And I said, this will be a good topic to kind of address. So we did some research, dug some stuff up to get some generalities, general statistics, as well as things that you and I kind of know in terms of our opinions. So I thought it'd be kind of a fun thing to talk about. What are your thoughts?
I think it's great. I also do think that actually you do see some of these magazines talking about it, but usually what they're telling you is exactly the opposite of what is actually true. So it'd be nice to dig in and really assess what they're, what's out there.
Well, you know what I see too. Tell me if you guys know this, if you guys have seen this too. There are all these magazines where a lot of times the person giving women advice on what men want might be like a woman, or and like telling them what men want and how men think and what's appropriate for men to want and stuff like that. And I'll be reading these articles and I'll be thinking that is really bad advice. Like that's not like they didn't talk to a single man when they came up with this ridiculously crazy, idiotic list. Have you ever noticed that?
Yes. It's actually, the list shouldn't be called what men want. It's what men should want, according to me.
Yeah, right. And I think that we have a society where we really, at least in the United States, we really judge men. We really tell them like, oh, that's not appropriate for you to think that. It's not appropriate for you to want that. It's not appropriate for you to be that way. And honestly, I think what it does is for a lot of men, it pushes them toward just basic non-participation. I know for me, I just realized as a man that there's certain conversations I'm not going to get involved with because you're not really trying to hear what I think. You're trying to tell me what I'm supposed to think. And if I tell you what I really think, you're either not going to listen or you're going to tell me that I shouldn't be thinking that way. What are your thoughts on that?
I saw someone post this on Facebook and I don't know who they were quoting, but I've never forgotten it. And he said that we need to stop treating men like broken little girls. In other words, we're telling them that they should be like girls, but because they're not acting like girls, there's something wrong with them.
Wow. I think that's deep. That's really deep. Does anybody agree with this? Is anybody vibing with what's being said here? Let us know. Also, hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button, share button, and subscribe button. I want to make sure I mention everybody. I mentioned the name of my guest. It's Nomalanga Moses from the Nomalanga Show. She's in. Are you in Johannesburg or?
Yes, I'm in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Yeah, so she's in Johannesburg, South Africa right now. And I like that also, Nomalanga, because I think for African Americans, when we're trying to figure out who we are and what we believe, I think some African influence can be beneficial. It seems to me like when I talk to you about how your family, how you were raised in your family and how, you were raised to think about relationships, a lot of times it's very different from what we're taught in the United States. And family is very important in Africa, not to generalize too much, but it seems that there's some things we can learn as Black people in terms of finding our own solutions as opposed to listening to whatever white people put on TV. What do you think?
Yeah, I've lived exactly half of my life being born and raised in mainly Botswana, but I also lived in one other African country. And then the other half living in the United States. A little more, really, because I was only 19 when I came to America. I'm now in my 40s. But I'm able to see the differences in thinking. And what's interesting is that what you find happening in America sometimes starts to happen here, but it's almost like you have a preview of where it's going before
Mm.
it gets there. So you start seeing this kind of thinking, the strong feminist. And the thing is, like, I understand some of the feminist ideals because women have been treated unfairly. I get it. But some of it is so extreme that all it can do is be destructive. And then you start seeing a lot of influence here coming to a lot of African countries where now the feminist voice is becoming stronger. And you're like, whoa, no, 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 no. 10, 20, 30 years from now, we're going to have 50% divorce rates like we have in America. We're going to have children that are, I taught in college, you taught in college, and nobody wants those children. Literally. Not their parents, you can tell where it's going. You know what I mean? So you can kind of get the best of both worlds in terms of being able to analyze and see how people think and what it produces.
Yeah, yeah, Noma, it's you're right. I mean, we clearly in America, in my opinion, we clearly don't do relationships well. We don't. I mean, if we did relationships well, we wouldn't have the insane divorce rates and all this other stuff, all this chaos that happens, in so many marriages and stuff like that. And of course, people have different points of view. There's an endless line of people that will tell you that these problems come from the fact that men are screwed up and men need to fix themselves, etc. And I reject that idea because I don't. The last time I checked, it takes at least two people to have a relationship, and when you're not, finding common ground, there's room for improvement for everybody. But I really don't see a lot of discussion about things that women can and should do to pursue relationships in a better way or to manage relationships in a better way. Even if you look at the Me Too movement, pay attention, y'all. Tell me if you guys have noticed this. The Me Too movement, I've seen the Me Too movement take down dozens of men, but I've never seen the Me Too movement take down a single woman. And I don't think there's been any gay man other than Kevin Spacey that has been taken down by Me Too. And even he's not really taken down. He's just dealing with the situation. So, it seems like we're sort of, caught in this weird gender war in the United States, and men, don't really know quite what to do.
One thing I can say is I have a really good friend who's extremely controversial, but I've really come to respect her opinion, and you know her too because we interviewed her together.
Why don't you say her name?
Ro Cutno. I was leading up to it. Ro Cutno.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, yeah, Ro. I know
Yeah.
you.
One thing she really does is she doesn't.
She is controversial. I knew exactly who you were talking about.
Yeah. She doesn't hold back when it comes to telling women, like, look, get yourselves together. No, it's not the men, it's you, And of course, it's not always the women, it's not always the men, but her focus as well as mine is always on the women. Like, look, I'm not going to go around telling men what they should do, but I'm going to tell you because I'm a woman. I've been there, I've done that. I've studied enough. I've analyzed enough. And I know that these are the problems and these are the things that we need to fix amongst ourselves. So you're right. It's actually, I mean, she got attacked. I get attacked. It's like, how dare you ever suggest that a Black woman should get herself together? We can only blame and say other people did something wrong, but never turn the eye back on ourselves.
Interesting. Okay, everybody. So whoever just came in, I want you guys to know I'm talking to Nomalanga Mushali Moses, and we're talking about the things that men despise when looking for a relationship. If you're on YouTube, on Dr. Boyce TV or Your Black World, please take 1 second right now, stop what you're doing and hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button. If you're on Facebook, please also hit the like button, share button, subscribe button. I see a few of my friends in here. I see Bren. Good to see you, Bren. And I see Drew Holtz and Dr. Lakita Blockson, a brilliant scholar. I think she's at University of Alabama. Good to see you, Lakita. And a lot of other people, Philip Mitchell, Mrs. Melissa, etc. So hit the thumbs up button. Please do that. Also, if you want a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, go to drboycewatkins.net. That's drboycewatkins.net. So let's go down this list. I found this list, Noma. I went to the internet because y'all know that the internet is, I guess, the be all end all for any information, either true or false. And I was looking, for this list of things that men don't like in relationships, things that they kind of turn them off or turn them away. And I had my own list, but I didn't want to be biased, right? I wanted to sort of see what was out there. And in this article, which was written by a woman, remember didn't I just say that? Noma, that a lot of these advice articles about men are written by women.
Right.
But the advice was pretty good. I mean, I actually related to what she's saying. Some of what Bryn says, it keeps freezing. Okay, let me see if I can make this unfreeze. I don't know if I can do that or not. You know what? I think I know what to do. Give me 1 second. Okay, so let's try this. I'm switching the Wi-Fi connection, so hopefully this will get us back. Okay, so let me know if I'm still freezing, Bryn. I hope that I'm good. I hope that I'm good. Okay, so the article is by Carolyn Dickinson, who says 10 things, or the title is 10 things men find unattractive about women. And I'm gonna start with the first one, Noma, and I want to see if you have any thoughts on it, and I'll give a thought if there is one to be had. If there's not, I'll just keep going. She says, number one, she says on makeup, her advice is keep it natural. Men don't want to go in for a kiss and come out looking like they just joined the circus. Remember, foundation is supposed to be invisible to others and blend in with your skin. Stay away from glittery or shimmering eye makeup and never use clumpy mascara. Minimal makeup is sexier. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I follow that rule because I really don't want to feel like I'm another person once I finish doing my makeup. And I would think that if a man was interested in a woman, he wants to believe that what he sees is what he gets. So that's pretty straightforward. And then the other thing is, I mean, you don't want, like she said, you don't want to get messy just from touching another human being.
Interesting. Okay, so
well, what do you think, Boyce? I mean, it's more important what you think than what I think, but I actually do read some of this stuff, and when it sounds true, I follow it.
Yeah, well, I see M. Powell says, I agree, I like it natural. Yeah, let me say this. I can always say, here's something that happened to me. This is an interesting revelation I had about myself. I haven't been in love that much, but the times I've been in love, I can count on one hand. And I thought about it, and I was trying to understand myself. Like, what is it that I like? What works for me? And I figured out that all the women that I've ever loved, every single one of them did not wear makeup, right? Now, this does not mean that makeup was an automatic disqualifier. I wasn't even conscious of it. I didn't even think about it. But there was something, but when I really started to process it and say, like, what's really going on here? What was, going through my mind? I think that a lot of makeup, like a ton, like where you're looking like something from the circus or like a drag queen, a lot of makeup almost signifies inauthenticity, like a lack of authenticity. Like I'm not really seeing exactly who you are.
Right.
I'm seeing this thing, this presentation,
mask.
Right? This mask, right? And then there's the other fear, like that, that whatever is behind the mask ain't gonna look good in the morning after you spend the night, right? Like that's a legit fear guys have. So and it's sad because you have some women that are almost addicted to makeup, like they need tons of makeup to just go out in public. But then when you see them without the makeup, they're a whole different person. And I would be willing to bet you that there's a connection in terms of people like that having a difficult time forming long-term relationships. Why? Well, because the person that you're attracting with the makeup, they, when you take off the mask, they're seeing something totally different from what they signed up for. So they're out the door. I don't know. Have you seen that before?
Well, like I said, I don't form my opinions based on what women are saying. I'm formed them based on what men are saying, and that's what I hear. Like, I mean, some do say it's scary. It's scary that there's going to be another person when they wash all that off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very scary. It's really, I mean, it's no different from, I guess, like a woman meeting a man who pretends like he's doing really well and he's got a lot of money.
And then he's broke.
And you find out that he's got $300,000 in student loan debt, a criminal record, no job, an STD and 4 babies mamas, then you're like, wait, I got duped. I was robbed. I'm calling the police, right? So maybe men sometimes feel that way too when a woman presents herself as something other than what we thought we were going to get. Here's the next one. Okay, so she says on hair, she says, while a fancy hairstyle may be okay for a glamorous night out, men prefer natural looking hair. It's more attractive to look at and feels nicer to touch when it's free of gels or sticky products. Nomalanga, what are your thoughts?
I think it's the same. It's to the same as the first point. Again, the closer you are to what your normal hair would do, the better. Because again, it's like I used to wear wigs and weaves, and now I stick mainly to very natural looking hairstyles, and that's because I really want to stay looking like a natural African woman. And I feel like sometimes if you want to do that, that's okay. I'm not judging, but I do feel like, why do you need your hair super straight and super long like a white woman? Because there's an underlying message that says that our own hair isn't as good if that's all you're doing. If wigs and weaves and blonde and all these other stuff. I think that's what it suggests.
Yeah, I think that the hair thing is an interesting thing. And I know it's very sensitive, right? Because a lot of good women, wear the weaves and the wigs and everything else. And I don't think it makes them bad people or anything like that. I think that what is challenging is, and this is why I'm a supporter of the natural hair movement for Black women, because one, I think it's very expensive and time consuming to have to sort of deal with all this fake stuff, right?
Right.
So for women, it seems like it's just such a difficult drag. But why do they do it? A lot of women do it because that's maybe what some men want, or maybe they just do it because they think that's what society wants or whatever, right? And I think that pressure should be removed. I don't think women should have to go under that pressure. But
I'm glad you said society. So can I just interject? If we're talking about living in America, which most of our audience is, and which I did and do, depending on the day, there was sometimes a feeling like white women is the standard of beauty. So the closer you kind of look to a white woman, the more beautiful you are. It was the same thing in the workplace. You hear a lot of people saying that when they wore their natural hairstyles, they was told they looked unprofessional. So I think we can't fully put it entirely on the women for wanting to look a certain way. But sometimes there's pressure coming from the outside.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think the majority of the pressure comes from the outside. I think it comes from men, comes from society, comes from white supremacy, all of that, right? So I'm not even blaming the women for that. I just think that ultimately relieving that pressure does help everybody, right? Because I can tell you as a man, when you get to like wigs and weaves and these hairstyles that, can't come anywhere near water, you can't touch them, stuff like that. It's kind of weird. Like you just like, okay, can I touch you now? And it's just not, it doesn't seem natural or comfortable when, you're in bed and you want to run your fingers through her hair and you can't because you're going to,
It's not on half of your life. You can't swim, you can't sweat. So there's no exercising, there's no touching. Come on. It's too much, I think.
And there's the health effect. There's a health effect of that on Black women. A lot of Black women do not exercise because they don't want to mess up their hair. Well, it's not disconnected from all the Black women getting diabetes and heart disease and having strokes and all this other stuff and becoming obese because
right.
They're trying to look good. And somebody's told them like, okay, if you're this, thick Black woman who doesn't work out, who's got, a nice weave in her hair, the men are going to like you. They might like you, but that's not good for you if you end up dead, right? I don't know. Or maybe for some people that, it's a trade-off. I don't know. Okay, so let's go down the list a little further. She says, when it comes to shaving, she says, for the love of all that's smooth, please shave. Men associate hair with testosterone and testicles, so they don't want to see it on a woman. Men like touching soft skin, so say bye-bye to the fuzz and make sure you use moisturizers and lotions to keep your skin smooth. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm not going to say too much because I'm not a man, but what I do know and I do believe is no man wants to be with another man. At least no heterosexual man wants to be with another man. So, the softer and more feminine you are, of course, the more attractive you are to the opposite sex.
Okay. Yeah, and I agree with that. I would almost say that soft skin is maybe just a good plus. I don't think that stubbly, legs that scratch you when you rub against them are all that much fun. And also I would say, generally speaking, it's probably on a case by case basis. Maybe like when it comes to armpits and stuff, some men pay close attention to that, some men don't. So maybe it's a matter of knowing what your partner is looking for. But I think that I can generally agree with what she's saying. By the way, I'm talking to Nomalanga Mushali Moses, and we're talking about traits that men despise when looking for a good woman. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button. If you're on Facebook, please share. On YouTube, please share. If you're on YouTube especially, please hit the thumbs up button. Also, if you want to get a text notification when we go live, text the word Boyce to 31996. Text Boyce to 31996. Also today at 2 p.m. Eastern this afternoon, I'm going to have Dr. Claude Anderson come in. So if you're watching live, then just know Dr. Anderson will be here at 2 p.m. on drboycetv.com. So get on the text list so I can text you when we go live. Text the word Boyce to 31996, and you can actually be on the text list, 31996. Okay, so the next thing on the list, let me go down here again. She talks about dental hygiene. She says, men look at our mouths. Bad breath and discolored teeth are unattractive to the opposite sex. Cut down on the coffee or the red wine. Use whitening toothpaste or strips to brighten your smile. And always carry gum or breath helpers in your purse. You never know when that kiss may be coming. What do you think, Nomalanga?
Okay. So it's still, I think that one goes both ways.
You're right, exactly.
But the one that comes to my mind, or at least the general rule that comes to my mind is this. Men are visually attracted or visually stimulated. So I think women have to do more in terms of their appearance with little things like that. Round teeth, bad breath, all these other things can be a more of a turnoff for a man than they are for a woman.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't care what any feminist tells you. Men are visual. That's it. We are visual creatures.
Yeah.
You can, a nice look, a great body with a great smile can go a very long way in terms of opening the door, for that man to approach you or to be open to everything else that you have to offer. If all those things are not there, you may be the greatest person in the world, but he may never even take the time to even be able to get to know you. And it's unfair. It's kind of crazy. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. It's not logical, but it's true. It's like if I have the best food, if I have a restaurant that serves the best food in the world, and I serve the food on a garbage can lid, nobody's going to try even come and see if my restaurant is any good, right? And so anybody who tells you that it's all about the inner beauty and all that, I just think that they're lying to you. I think, but at the same time, I don't think, especially, or at least, I'm probably biased because I'm a little more cerebral, because I tend to look at, I'm looking at your brain, and like as you're talking, I'm literally shaping in my head like what I think about your mind, right? But I think that flash without the substance can cause people to go too far in the other direction. Like I get just irritated, not irritated. It's just kind of, I would say irritated. I'd say sad when I'm seeing people say on Instagram where everything's all about the visual all the time. It's always, I just happen to be taking this picture of myself on the beach in a bikini, so the whole world can see what I look like in a bikini. Now, of course, as a man, again, men are visual. All the men, I don't care who you are. I don't care how, you president of the United States, you got 10 PhDs, you're going to stop and take a quick look at that picture, right? I'm like, oh, bikini, beach, nice. Right. But, you at the same time, you're at risk, I think, of devaluing what you have, because basically what you're saying is that, what I have to offer is a public service. It's a welfare check for anybody walking by, right? There's nothing special about seeing me in a bikini. You don't have to earn this. This is free. This is like a food, giving out food stamps, So any horny man walking by my Instagram page can enjoy seeing everything that, some people think that maybe a special man should have to earn the right to see, right? So effectively you're going to get attention, but it's not, I don't think it's beneficial attention. And that woman sitting on Instagram taking selfies in a bikini on the beach is going to have a hard time competing when it comes to relationship development with the woman who makes you have to work for it a little bit, who isn't taking the selfies on Instagram, but in the right context might eventually allow you access to the inner workings of her life, right? What are your thoughts on that, Nomalanga?
I mean, you went further with it, but I was looking at it in terms of like, you can be a really great cook and cook a great meal, but if the food looked like vomit when it's being presented, they may not get to the part where they actually taste it and realize that it tastes really good. So there is some value to, how you look. In fact, a lot of value to it. Is the attention grabber, but after the attention has been grabbed, there better be some substance after you grab the attention. That's how I look at it. And then of course you have to also evaluate, again, this, if you're talking to young women all the time, it seems we have to keep telling them, if you're looking for attention, there's different kinds of attention that you're gonna get, you can look perfectly beautiful, sexy, gorgeous, all these other things without being naked or half naked or suggestive of all these other things. You can still get attention and a man can think you're attractive or even sexy and be fully clothed, so it's a matter of what kind of attention you're getting, and let's not try and pretend like you don't have to look good to get attention.
Okay, sorry, Noma. I hit my button. I muted myself. I think that you're right about different levels of attention. I think that people have to accept this idea, and if you don't have a daddy at home to tell you this, I'm talking to the young ladies who are listening, who like these conversations because they really want to understand how the world works. Most smart men know the difference between a queen and a concubine. And they sort out the difference instantly, queen or concubine. So that Instagram lady who's getting all the likes and all the shares and all the whatever, because she took the picture of herself in a bikini that's showing everything but her crotch, she's gonna be in that concubine category. Men like the concubines. They appreciate the concubines. Thank you for your contribution to humanity. But the queen is in a special category, and the queen may not be as flashy as the concubine. She may not even be as pretty as the concubine, but there's a substance there that the queen has that creates a more lasting interest from the man that leads to all the other things a man can offer besides his penis, right? And so really a smart man won't even offer the concubine that, right? But we live in the real world, things happen, right? And so I think that's one of the things I've noticed that a lot of people don't seem to get or seem to accept. The feminists teach things like, oh, well, you're slut shaming. And when they say that, like, oh, you can't shame someone for being whatever or doing whatever they're going to do. Well, what they're kind of saying is that you can act like a concubine and get the same respect as a queen. That ain't going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
If you act like a hoe, they're going to treat you like a hoe. Like if you put on the whole uniform, then they're going to treat you like whatever it is that you're advertising. And it's okay. Maybe some people like that. But at the end of the day, you see a lot of confusion where people will get that interest and that excitement from a man, and then they're disappointed because it doesn't translate into something more permanent, more meaningful, more lasting.
Right.
Okay, next on the list, alcohol. She says, sure, a man likes to hang with a woman who knows how to have a good time, but know when enough is enough. No man wants to see a woman puking in the bar bathroom or falling down on the dance floor. Amen to that. What you think, Norma?
Well, I still believe that a man's wife is his prize, his trophy. And I know some people get really mad when you say that, but the truth is, the woman that a man is with says a lot about him.
Mm.
And, if she's getting drunk, sloppy drunk and behaving a certain way, dressing a certain way, all these other things, before he marries her, why would he marry her and have him as the representative of his family, in his absence or in his presence? Why would he do that? Why would any self-respecting man do that? Any man with any ambition to be anything worth being with, why would he?
Wow. Wow. I think you said it all. You're right. I think that when you make that commitment to, wanting a woman to be a part of your family or whatever it is, you know, there is a certain kind of, presentation that you want. And I know for a fact, I don't know what it was about alcohol that bothered me. It's not that drinking was an issue. It was more like, if you're drinking a lot, and you're putting yourself in all these ridiculous situations because of your drinking, making bad decisions because you're drinking, I might empathize with you. Like if you say, like now how, I guess now the Me Too rhetoric is, if a woman gets drunk and she sleeps with a man, the man technically raped her because she was too drunk to consent, which is stupid because if the man's drunk too, then you're both two drunk people making bad
Right.
decisions. Right? But it is what it is. I might empathize with all of that, but I'm not going to want to be connected to that. I'm going to literally be thinking, I don't want, I don't want to be in a relationship with somebody who is going to go out and embarrass the family, just like a woman wouldn't. I mean, a woman wouldn't want a man who's going to go out and embarrass, her and the family and everything else with stupid behavior. So same thing is true with men. I think class does matter.
It's not just about embarrassing. It's also about how productive can you be if you're pissy drunk all the time.
Yeah, you're not. I don't understand. What I think is really funny is how white girls kind of get away with that. Like white girls go to college and they do all these crazy things and they drink like fish
Well,
and
now we already know that their parents bought their way into college, bought their term papers, bought the A's, bought the graduation gift. So it really doesn't matter what they do, right?
well, not all of them, not all
Yeah,
of them, but I mean, yeah, that whole cheating scandal was something else. I there's a lot to say on that. Oh Lord. Okay, so let me jump to the next one. The next one says on negativity, men like happy, positive women. So don't complain about the lack of service at a restaurant or how long you had to wait in the line. Show your upbeat personality. Uh, Noma, I want to ask you about that, and I want to ask that question with a question. There are people who would have an issue with that because they would feel that by saying that to women, that you are denying them the right to be themselves, or denying them the right to keep it real, or denying their right to be strong, right? Like, oh, you can't, you're a weak man, you can't handle a strong woman. Well, a lot of people correlate strength with like outspokenness,
meanness. Yeah.
oh no, oh no, you didn't. You better sit down, right? That kind of thing, right? Which I don't. I don't think strength is like I don't know. Felicia Rashad, for example, in real life and her character on TV, that was a very strong woman to me, but she's
Right.
not the neck swinging, loud, ghetto, cussing, screaming type of woman, right? So, what do you think about that when they talk about negativity versus positivity?
Well, let's deal with the facts. The fact is, no one wants to be around an unhappy, negative person. And what I know now about men in general is they want to believe that the woman they're with is happy, that they're contributing to her happiness, and they want to know that she's pleasable. So if you're mean, negative, and have a mean face all the time, even before somebody meets you, they're already making the assumption that nothing they do or say is going to be good enough or is going to please you. And beyond that, too, I don't understand if you have the choice between smiling and not smiling, why do you choose not smiling? If it makes other people more comfortable, if it makes you, I just don't get it. It's like having the choice between helping somebody and not helping somebody. All else equal, you would help somebody, right? I just don't understand why you have to lean towards the negativity. And I see it a lot with the feminists. There's this thing that don't tell me I should smile. How dare you say that?
That made me smile. That was funny. But
They do. They actually get offended and angry and write whole articles about, no, I don't have to smile, just to appease you. Yeah, actually, you kind of do if you want people to not think you're a jerk.
yeah, I think that negativity thing is a really big deal. I always tell stories about Alicia and say that the first thing that she grabbed me with actually was her smile. like when I walked up and she gave me that big, beautiful smile, it made me feel welcome. It made me feel like she's happy to see me, like she wants me to sit down, you know, and so let's continue talking, right? When you got this constant resting bitch face, it's scary. I think men are intimidated by it. I don't think men enjoy that very much. And now in the context of a relationship, I think that the negativity is almost unnatural for a lot of women, because women, I believe, are naturally fertile. They're natural givers of life, right? So women, I think, are at their best when they're giving life to things, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. So giving life means that, you know, when I come in a room, I light up the room. Like a woman who lights up a room and enlightens, you know, it enhances the mood, makes people feel better, nurtures everyone. Well, that's a woman that men fall in love with. Men marry women like that. They want to marry a woman that's, because men are naturally attracted to fertility. That's why men like, you know, even the way they like the younger women with the curves and all that. That's all fertility. The biologists say this, that it's all about your ability to give life to things, right? So if you are always negative, if you're always like, F him, blah, 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 there's something, I think, that's just the turn off there. It's like, ugh, like you're not bringing life to a situation, you're bringing death. You know, you're not enhancing the mood in the room, you're killing the spirit in the room. And I think that it doesn't mean you can't be yourself and keep it real, and it doesn't mean you always have to be Mary Poppins every day. But there is such a thing as optimism, you know, and just simply smiling. And I think you can say a lot of things. Like I've seen the most powerful women I've seen are women who can tell you exactly what they're thinking, but they can do it with a smile, or they can do it with love, to the point where you're like, okay, all right, what do you want? Whatever you need, I'll do it, right? Because you said it so nice to me that I'm certainly receiving what you said. But you know, when you're coming with that negative energy, that is, I think that's a huge turnoff for men. You know, doesn't mean a man won't still hang out with you. It doesn't mean he won't. Men will still have sex with you if you're attracted, even if you're a bitch. Like men will still be like, yeah, I'm just not gonna commit to you, but I'm still gonna call you, you know, on Friday nights at 1 o'clock in the morning when I have nothing else to do, right? But I think that if you're talking about relationships and what's gonna make them work, that negativity is such a deal breaker, such a killer.
Just one more thing about this. I often wonder why women can understand that in certain roles, like when you're at an interview, when you're at work, when you're in customer service, that projecting your best image is important, but then for the most important relationship in your life, somehow that's not so important.
Yeah, I agree. When the white man tells us to go to a job and smile, we smile. You know, like, yeah, hi, how are you today? And I don't understand why you can give that respect to that white man you work for, but you can't give that respect to the man that's in your house. Seriously. Right. Why is it that you're gonna go smile for him and dance for him and be all friendly and positive with him, but then when you come home to your man, you're gonna come in just giving the absolute worst of who you are, right? And Janine made a good point. Janine said, you sound like you want women to kiss your ass. Well, let me tell you, Janine, the answer is absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. If you're my woman and I love you, I want you to kiss my woman kisses my ass every day of the week. And you know what? I kiss her ass too. And I'm happy to do it. Happy to do it. Right? Because that's what you do in a relationship. That's what you do when you love somebody. You know, people don't get it. They break. Why is it that you will take the person who loves you the most and give them your worst? That makes no sense at all. No, you should give them your best. They are your boss. You work for them. Your goal is to do your absolute best to remind them on a daily or at least a weekly basis why they chose you when they could have chose a whole lot of other people. Seriously, ladies, if you're dealing with a man that other women want, he chose you out of all those women. You better remind him of why he picked you and why he didn't make a mistake. Same thing is true with men. I see a lot of men that have the most gorgeous woman in the world sitting next to them, and they get complacent, they get happy, or they feel like that no one can come and take her away. And next thing you know, they're crying because that woman left because she was feeling unappreciated. So to me, optimism is it means, yeah, if your partner needs you to smile, then sometimes you need the motherfucking smile, even if you don't feel like it. You may be mad as hell and want to cuss them out. Well, you better start that sentence with a honey or a baby or a sweetie, or make their favorite food or do something that's going to make the conversation a little easier. If you don't do that, then that person will come to resent you. And when they start resenting you, then that means everybody else that they're meeting at work and on the street and at the mailbox and when they go to the grocery store is going to start looking a little more appealing. And one day you're going to wake up and that person's going to be gone. And that goes for male or female. That's my theory. So Norma, I'll let you get the last word on that.
No, I said it. Remember, I'm the one who started with why would you give it to everybody else, but not the person who's the most important to you? Because I've always believed that. You know, I've never understood why women think it's okay to give their best to everybody and then be home for 2 hours and be mean. Because that's really what your family gets at the end when you work a job.
Absolutely. You know, what's funny? I gave the toast at my brother's wedding and I didn't quite know what to say. But I just, you know, I figured something would come to me. And I remember basically I started my speech by saying, I think one of the keys to successful relationships is don't be an asshole. Just don't be an asshole. Like, don't like
that word.
Yeah. Like, you know, if I'm going to be an asshole, I'm not going to be an asshole to my woman. Right. You know, because I'm not going to mess that up. I'm not going to, like, they have that old saying, not to be vulgar, but, you know, don't shit where you eat. Right. So I'm not going to be an asshole to her. I'm going to be an asshole to a stranger. I'm going to go be an asshole to a white man. I'm going to be an asshole to somebody else. I'm not going to be an asshole to the person who is, you know, part of the royalty in my household. Like, you don't do that. Right. So I think that, you know, in that negativity, I think it links also to people feeling unappreciated. I know a lot of men, speak up. Fellas, if you're watching, please speak up. Tell me if you know what I'm talking about. A lot of men feel like they're more likely to get attention or to get a response from people when someone's unhappy with them than they are if they're happy with them. If you do, you know, you dedicate your life, dedicate your time, giving all your energy, giving all your money to a relationship or to a person, and you rarely get a thank you. You rarely get one of those "I need you" or "I really appreciate you" or "what a man, what a mighty good man." You don't get that, but you fuck up one time. Excuse my friend. You mess up once. You do something out of line. You come up short. It's like, well, he was this and he was that, and you need to stop doing this, and you emotionally abuse me because blah, blah, right? Seriously, all of this, right? And men don't really usually do that so much. Like, men are not running around saying, oh, I was emotionally abused by my ex-girlfriend. That means she's a monster. You need to do an R. Kelly documentary about her because I was emotionally abused. But guess what? There are men out here, tell me, men, fellas, speak up, say something. Like, seriously, there are men out here who have endured emotional abuse at the hands of a woman who just beat them and beat them and beat them and beat them and complained and yelled at him and all that. And then she called him a piece of shit because he went and found a new girlfriend. Yo, seriously, well, for him, maybe he felt like Kunta Kinte escaping from Master's plantation. Like, I'm getting out of this horrible situation so I can find a woman who really appreciates the fact that I'm around, who appreciates the fact that I took her out to eat. She don't care if we went to Red Lobster or Burger King. Like, she's happy that I gave her my time and gave her my energy, and I've done everything for you, and you show no appreciation. All you know how to do is complain. And I think that is a recipe for death of a relationship, you know. But I'm just telling you, speaking for the men, we got to stop complaining. And if a man's doing a good job, then shit, stop and tell him he's doing a good. Tell him he's doing a good job. Tell him you appreciate him. Your kids, your daddy's a king. He's a great man. You're lucky to have your daddy. That makes him proud. Do you know, Nomalanga? I'm ranting now. I can't stop. But you know, but
you're telling the truth. You're telling the truth.
Let me tell you a secret. When I was 11 years old, I went to the grocery store with my mother, and I helped my mother carry something and put it in the basket. And she said, Coco, you are such an asset. And I was like, Mama, what's an asset? She said, that means that you're helpful. Like, you're helpful in my life, right? It's funny. I talk about assets all the time now, right? But back then I didn't know what an asset was. And when we got home, listen, check this out, pay attention, because men were just grown up versions of little boys sometimes, right? So we got home and my mother was on the phone with her best friend Charlene, and she was talking. And I said, "Hey, Mama," I said, "Mama, tell Charlene what you said to me at the grocery store." And she said, "What?" I said, "About me being an asset." And she said, "Oh, Coco wants me to tell you that I said he's an asset." I was really proud of that. You know, it made me feel good to have my mother say something nice to me about, you know, my contribution to the household. And I don't think that changes. I don't think that changes in adulthood. You know,
and you didn't mention the next part.
Sorry?
You didn't mention the next part, which is once that happens, the next part is you go out of your way to find ways to make her, to prove that. In other words, she says you're an asset. You're going to go out of your way to keep being an asset, doing more things to prove that, yes, I am an asset. You said I'm an asset. What else can I do that an asset does? So it promotes even more good behavior. Not that we should treat our men like children, but really it's the same basic concept.
It's definitely the basic concept. You gave him the high, he's going to go back for more drugs. He's going to keep coming back to do even more for you because he loves hearing you brag to your friends about what a great man that you have and how wonderful he is in your life. And I think that goes a long way. And I think people that tap into that really have good relationships. Now, let me tell everybody who I'm talking to. I'm talking to Nomalanga Mushali Moses. And today our topic is basically things that men don't like in women when they're looking for a relationship. Also, don't forget, please hit the thumbs up button. If you're on YouTube right now, please hit the thumbs up button. Also, we're on iTunes now. The podcast is on iTunes. So if you want to listen to the podcast on your way to work or while you're at the plantation or wherever it is, you can actually look up Boyce Watkins on iTunes and you can actually download the podcast. So feel free to do that. Okay, so we're almost done with the list, Nomalanga. Let's see here. Let's go to the next area. Okay, neediness, being needy. She says, don't ever drop your girlfriends and family for a man. Being too dependent on your man to make you happy is a turnoff. Expecting him to change to meet your needs is very unattractive. They want to be loved for who they are.
See, that one's a little bit tricky.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it conflated a couple of different issues.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll start with the one where she says, don't drop your girlfriends for your man. I absolutely will. He knows that, they know that, and my girlfriends, I would be totally understanding if they said my man needs me and I gotta go. I totally get it because he is supposed to be the most important person. He's supposed to not only be that most important person, he's supposed to also feel. You're supposed to make sure that he knows that he comes first. He's number one. Now, in terms of being needy, I do get that sometimes women require more from men than they can give. He has to go out and work and buy you a car and a house and everything, but he's also supposed to cuddle all day. It just doesn't, it doesn't go together. So I wonder if that's what she was trying to say, where you require too much of his time that it becomes impractical. So I think we need balance in that area, but absolutely, I will drop all my girlfriends if my man needs me. Okay. And I think that you should.
Well, you know what got me, the part about dropping all your girlfriends, I don't know if I've never felt like that was a necessity or dropping or not dropping. Like, I feel like that's a personal choice, right? I think, it depends on the context of the relationship. It can work either way. I've seen both work and both not work, right? I definitely think if you've got your girlfriends or a man has his guy friends, you definitely don't want your guy friends or your girlfriends knowing too much about your relationship, nor do you want them giving you relationship advice, right? I was joking with one of my friends one time, and she was telling me about conversations she had with some girls that she knew, women that they got together and they were having drinks and they were complaining about their husbands and sharing stories about their husbands. And I said, you do notice that all four of you are divorced and all four of you are sort of giving each other this really interesting advice based on your experience. And I said, I don't really know how healthy that is for you, because I think that she was in a relationship at the time. And I said, I don't know if you want like a bunch of advice from people that aren't in the place that you want to be, right? Whatever that is, wherever that place is, right? And so I think just generally speaking, peer pressure, peer influence is typically just bad for a relationship. You know, I've just seen guys, you know, guide each other to behavior that they wouldn't engage in. For example, I remember in college, I had a friend who had a girlfriend in a steady relationship, and he happened to be in Omega Psi Phi fraternity, and on our campus, the Qs were pretty out there. I mean, in terms of their behavior, the drinking and the women and everything else. And it was almost like when he was by himself, he was one type of guy, but when he got around his fraternity brothers, he did a lot of things that even at the age of 20, I didn't think were smart or healthy. I'm, you know, drinking till he pukes, sleeping with just women, just literally off the street. You know, and so I think that peer pressure can be bad. So I think just kind of knowing where the friends need to be in terms of having them in their place, I think goes a long way. Like, for example, I knew a guy who said, I've got my guy friends, but they're not going to be hanging out in my house when I'm not home. They're not going to be around my woman when I'm not there. Right. And that was his policy. He was like, I don't know. I don't care what people think. I don't trust men around my beautiful wife because I know how men can be. And some of that makes actual practical sense. Right. So that part, I think it can go either way. The part that really got me, the part that really touched me the most of that statement was the last sentence where she said, what did she say? Let me read this. She mentioned that they want you to love them for who they are. They want to be loved for who they are. I think that goes a long way. You know, I see a lot of men who are constantly poked and prodded and told you that something's wrong with you, you know, like that you need to fix this and change that. Or even people will put up statements on Instagram where they'll say, it's very popular, this statement. It says, a man, a man will not leave a good woman. He only leaves the woman because he's not willing to fix the things he needs to fix in order to be with her. So there's this underlying connotation that men have to be fixed, you know, and I never like, and women are perfect and wonderful the way they are. If you tell a woman that she needs to be fixed, then you're a sexist, you're a bad person, you're psychologically abusive, you're engaged in mind control. But men need to be fixed, right? I think we have to be careful about that line of thinking. I reject that idea. I don't want you to tell me I need to be fixed. I need you to look at me for who I am and like that guy. If you can't like that guy or love that man, then I'm probably not the man for you. You know, I don't want to be fixed. I mean, maybe if you ask me to make adjustments, fine. Compromises, fine. But fixed, like you're walking in and you're flawed. And I think it's doubly true on Black men because everybody thinks Black men are screwed up. Everybody does. Noma, what are your thoughts?
Right. You know, it goes back to my statement in the beginning where I said that there was a quote that I read that I thought was so important and said that we have to stop treating men like broken little girls. So it's like if he's not acting like a woman, then there's something wrong with him and he needs to behave more like a woman. You know, you hear a lot of this stuff, you know, men cry too. Okay, fine, they do, but they don't, you know, I mean, it's like this whole thing, like it's like there's this constant pull for them to be moved onto this side of the woman side. Behave more like a woman and then I'll accept you as a man. But the funny thing is, if you're a normal and healthy woman, you don't want to be with a man that's like a woman.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, right. So it's really great to hear men stand up for themselves and say, no, if you can't take me as I am, then no, thank you. Because unfortunately, there are men who do try to please women, again, because it's a natural instinct to want to, you know, please the women that you're with or that you're around. But then they end up getting called all kinds of names because they're not acting like regular, normal men. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like a catch-22.
Well, it's almost like when Terry Crews, you know, the actor, he's 6'2", 245 pounds, and he tries to join the Me Too movement, saying that he was sexually assaulted because the agent grabbed his genitals. And we're supposed to treat Terry Crews like he's a white woman. And I'm just sitting here like, no. That to me was evidence that the world has just lost its freaking mind. Like, right. Seriously. Like Terry Crews, you're not a little girl. You're not some tiny little woman who was assaulted.
Not even a tiny man.
Right, exactly. He can lift that guy up with one arm and throw him off the balcony. Right. But you're expecting us to treat you like you're a woman. that's a mental illness. Like that's about as dysfunctional as you can get. Terry Crews is not a woman; he's a man. You know, and the thing is that line of thinking has become so under attack in America that it's ridiculous. But every now and then there are some people that I think hold down the fort pretty well. I heard Tony Robbins do this. Tony Robbins was doing one of his little seminars, and one of the women like raised their hand and she was complaining about her husband. And I think she was talking about like, well, he doesn't communicate with me, and I want to have conversations about this, and he doesn't want to talk, and then he does this and does that. And then Tony just literally flat out said, well, he does that because he's a man. And she's like, yeah, but he doesn't, blah, blah, and it bothers me. But he's like, no, he's a man. He's not a woman. He's not
right. Go get a girlfriend. Go get a female friend for all that.
Right. Yeah. And I love that. And the thing is that people have gotten to the point where, they make up these stupid terms like toxic masculinity. And pretty much, first it starts off, toxic masculinity is clearly toxic, like rape or harassment, assault, that's toxic. Absolutely.
That's an oxymoron, because that's not masculinity.
Right, exactly.
It's not masculine instinct to hurt a woman. If once it's just
that's really true. Masculinity. You're right. I mean, a truly strong man isn't gonna go and want to go punch out a woman anyway. Right? That's not right. So you're right. I mean, that domestic violence, stuff like that, is typically built on some sort of weird insecurity or whatever it is, right? And so, but I think at the same time, like that term toxic masculinity used to talk about extreme things, and then it got to the point where they were talking about everything a man does. Just maybe the way men talk, or the way, or boys wanting to play football. Like just everything becomes toxic masculinity. So what you're effectively really saying at the end of the day is that men are toxic. And if you look at the driving forces in America in politics and in Hollywood. A lot of heterosexual males that were in power or whatever have been replaced by either women or gay men, right? The whole Me Too movement, the reason we know that it's a farce is because it's not because it didn't have the noble intention of protecting people from serious rape, sexual assault, etc. The reason it's a farce is because you can name dozens of heterosexual men who've been taken down by Me Too, but you can't name any women who've been taken down by Me Too, and you can't name any gay men except Kevin Spacey, and he hasn't even been taken down completely. Right. So basically, that's what they're trying to do. That's what a feminized society looks like, where you're replacing all the men. You're making use of your penis illegal. Like even the fact that you're labeling consensual sex the same way you label rape, or that you're calling people predators for consensual sex, that is sick. Like sex is natural. That's how we got here, And so that just really says that it's insanity. So I'm going to stop talking, but I'll say this: the reason I'm glad that you and I are having this conversation is because you have experience with a different culture, and you can kind of help us see Americanized insanity for what it is, and also as a Black woman who has loyalty to Black people, Black men, etc. You're able to help us consider other ideas that will allow us to disconnect from the insanity, to maybe figure out how we want to have our own healthy relationships from our own understanding of what a relationship's supposed to look like.
Right. And the thing is, it shouldn't come from a magazine written by a white 22-year-old.
Right.
Like the articles are written by, white 25-year-olds. And it's like, what the heck do they know? It is true. That's what sometimes these little lists, I liked this list, and that's why I wanted us to talk about it, because most of it was spot on. And even though it was written by a woman, I'm willing to bet she did some research and asked some men. And I also like that. I like talking to men about what it is that their experience is and what they want and all these other things. And then you can talk intelligently about that to other women.
Yeah, I think the best, if I was giving women advice on how to understand men and what they want and what men want, that does matter. It matters just the same way that what women want matters. If you want to get something from someone, you need to give them something that they want, right? I tell women, talk to men, find men who will be honest with you. right? Your boyfriend's not going to be honest with you about what men want, because a lot of things that he says might offend you or make you say, make you think certain things. So
make you not give him sex.
Right, exactly. If he thinks it's going to disrupt the sexual possibilities, he's going to zip it up. A lot of men know just not to say certain things around women, because in America, everything's offensive. Everything that comes out of your mouth as a man is offensive. So you just don't say anything. But find like a brother, or if you have a brother or male friends who will be completely honest with you, listen to them, and listen to them without judgment. That's, I think, very important. A lot of men stop talking when they start feeling judged. Like, right. Oh, that's disgusting, or oh my God, like you're a terrible person, right? Then you're gonna be like, no, I don't really think that. No, I really believe that everything's rainbows and butterflies, and that we're supposed to, right? But if you let a man just really feel like you've accepted him for who he is, then he'll tell you everything. He'll tell you every thought, every possibility, and maybe have several men that or a group of men and talk to you. Dr. Barbara DeAngelis is really good with this. She's written books for men on how women think so that they can understand women. She's written books for women on how men think, and she interviews thousands of people, and she does it without any judgment, and you get all these amazing insights into what the opposite sex is thinking. Well, why is that important? Well, because a relationship, looking for the right relationship, is no different from a sales pitch. It's no different from looking for the right job. If you're looking for the right job, then you've got to know what your potential employer is going to want. If you want to make a sale, you got to know what your customer is going to want, right? And men, I think, have an advantage in the sense that we are trained early on what women want, how to behave, how to make a woman impress with you, etc. Whereas a lot of women get raised with a horrible message that says, if he don't like you for exactly what you bring to the table, exactly how you behave, exactly what you do, then he's a loser. There's something wrong with him. And so you have people that will sit there and say, I've seen that, lonely women sitting around with either no relationships or very short-term relationships or booty call relationships, and they're not happy. And it's because they're just sort of doing whatever they want to do, because they're not trying to really accommodate anything that might actually make a man want to stick around. That's my 2 cents. But then again, maybe I'm just being a jerk by even saying that.
No, I don't think you're being a jerk at all. And, the trend that was going through this conversation that I picked up on was that if you really want to have a good relationship with a man, or any person really, is you do have to accept them. You just have to accept them, and accept them doesn't mean accept bad behavior from them. It means just accept the person, their quirks, their mistakes, their failings, or whatever it is. And the funny thing is, when you accept a person and appreciate the good things about them, you get more of the good things, but it starts with accepting them as they are.
Yeah. And I think that applies to males and females. Right. Like I noticed a long time ago that, if I behave in a way where I'm disappointed with my woman and I berate her about things, that she didn't do right or whatever, it doesn't bring the best out in her. It makes her feel bad about herself. It makes her not want to try as hard, makes her give up, right? Well, men are the same way. Like if your man, it disappoints you and he becomes, an asshole, a son of a bitch, whatever, and he feels that you don't respect him, then I think I've seen a lot of men just give up and say, I can't please her, so I'm not going to try anymore. So you're not going to get what you want. So anyway, Nomalanga, I want to say thank you very much for hanging out today. I appreciate it. This has been a great conversation. Everybody, this is Nomalanga Mushali Moses. She is a very good friend of mine. I have a lot of respect for her. What is your like main way people can catch up with you? Can they follow you on Instagram, go to your website?
Mainly on Facebook, and it's exactly under my name, Nomalanga Mushali Moses. I have what is it called? A fan page? They're called fan pages. I have a personal page and a fan page, so you can follow me on Facebook.
Okay, so everybody go look up Nomalanga on Facebook, and you can follow Nomalanga. She has the Nomalanga Show. She does a lot of stuff online and everything else. She's very, very smart, and she's down in South Africa right now. She's from Botswana, and she's actually the 2012 Mrs. Botswana. She doesn't tell you all that very often, but I should tell you because it's pretty damn impressive. And so I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins, and do me a favor, if you're on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up button right now. Please hit that thumbs up button. We really need that. Also, if you're on Facebook, Please, hearts and shares and likes and all that good stuff, whatever buttons are there, please hit those buttons. Also, if you want to get a text notification when we go live later on today, I mentioned to you guys, Dr. Claude Anderson's coming through. He comes in every Thursday for Powernomics Thursday on drboycetv.com. So make sure you subscribe at drboycetv.com, but also get on the text list so I can text you and let you know when Dr. Anderson's here. You can get on the text list by texting the word Boyce to 31996. That's 31996. Just text my name, Boyce, to that number, and I will notify you. And it's important to get on the list because sometimes YouTube doesn't send out notifications, and we have to find a way to circumvent that process. So that's pretty much it. Thank you very much, Nomalanga. It was great.
Thank you, Boyce. It was great.
And I will see you guys soon. And Noma, you can just stick around. I'm just gonna take this down, and we can finish talking. So everybody, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Hold on, give me a second. I'm hitting buttons.